Hi YouTube. We just finished our first session here in Season 7. I've been starting with a Dance of Knives Rogue. I managed to reach Paragon 236 on my hardcore SSF character here, and a lot of people have been asking me about my setup. I've been playing Dance of Knives, which is a very nice starter build, so that kind of carried me all the way up to here now in a matter of around 25 hours that I've been blasting. And I want to show you this setup that I've been playing. So I have this planner here, and this is based originally on Mippy's Maxwell guide that he has for Dance of Knives. I will also link that down there. And I want to kind of talk about my tweaks and my changes that I made here. So I played this last season already with the no snapshots variant that you can see here, but I realized that I can't just do that from the start because it's just not enough damage. So I just made this more damage snapshots variant based on that again, basically with how I've been kind of playing it. So I didn't put like, starter setups and stuff, so you might have to replace some of those, uniques here with like some other offensive powers. I also don't have all that stuff. I just got kind of lucky with the Shaco here at some point, and I just had some random helm before. But everything is like legendaries here, so I'm just like kind of chilling in tier 75 speedruns right now, doing those in like 2 minutes with my current setup here, with like 8 masterworks and 1 GA in most pieces. Nothing really extraordinary. So this is kind of how that goes. So what you need to know is that the snapshots still very much exist for Dance of Knives. So what that means is that when you snapshot some effect for the entire channel, you'll have the buff, forever basically. So you can just hold down right click and not let go. This is how the build was originally designed and played last season. And this has not changed if you want to have the highest performance and the highest output. So in order to make the most use of that, we use Concealment. Concealment gives you a guaranteed crit and guaranteed vulnerable with this upgrade here. And you want to usually always use Concealment right before the Dance of Knives and then hold down as long as possible. There's also some other stuff like the Quax rune. This is this one here in the weapon. So we combine this with the healing potion. You basically drink 2 healing potions and then you get 100% extra damage for your next Dance of Knives. Again, you can channel this forever and you get this damage buff forever until you let go. But this also means that whenever you click on something, on a door, on the portal and so on, even looting, this will break. But there is a trick around this, at least for some things. You can use the Force Interact button. So this is some keybind here. Like this, you can actually mouse over stuff and interact with it, like a door and a loot, and you will actually not interrupt the channel. So instead of left clicking, for example, you can do this while holding down right click. And this actually works, and you keep all your buffs up. So the way this usually works is that you can see this buff on your buff bar here. This is the Quax rune. So when I press a potion, it goes through half, and I try to carry around one of the 2 stacks basically with me and try to prepare everything else. So usually I will go from pack to pack, spinning around with my previous snapshot, and then at some point, for example, I need to cast my Holy Movement again and my Shadow Clone. So at this point I'm not channeling anymore. And then we're going to do a Shadow Step, and then we're going to do a Concealment, and we finish up with the second potion to get our buff here. This yellow icon is the buff for the Quax rune, and then you start channeling again. You see our resource goes to 0, it gets consumed by the rune. And then we have the snapshot active with the Concealment with the rune. And there's also some other stuff. For example, we have the Paragon node here with Dance Macabre, very powerful as well, 75%. This can be triggered in various ways, but it kind of just gets automatically included with this Concealment. And like this, you have a lot of damage output. Now, if you want to play this with no snapshots, you lose a lot of damage, obviously, because now you don't have this Quax rune anymore. This is double damage. Now you don't have the guaranteed crits anymore, you have to stack crit, and there's some other like little things here, but this is this setup. And if you have really good gear in late game, if you have stuff like Air of Perdition and a Shroud and some good stuff, then you can actually do this. I've done this last season just fine, and I was able to blast even like, pit 70, 75 or so in like 90 seconds or less, because this goes really fast. Because suddenly you have free reign to use all of your skills whenever you want, which means you can do dash, you can do shadow step whenever you want. You also have even a jar rune for the teleport. So this is where that stuff really shines in just like low-end Torment 4 farming basically. So here you can kind of just like ignore all the other stuff and you don't have to do concealment stuff anymore, you don't have to do anything with potions, so it's much less complicated. But again, it needs a lot more damage. It probably does like maybe a third of the original or something, so I need to be quite powerful in order to get to this Torment 4 farming level. Now, another question I keep getting all the time is why the cold imbuement? Well, the cold imbuement is also kind of just like permanently active, so you only consume 1 charge for an entire channel. And like this, you can just use any of the imbuements forever, basically, very easily. And in this case, I chose the cold. The main reason is, well, number one, it freezes, which is nice. And it also gives us the up to 40% extra damage against frozen targets. So this is just a lot of flat damage here. I did try around a little bit with the Shadow Clone and trying to use the new Shadow Clone or ultimate aspects. So far, I was not too impressed with that. It does work, and there was like some wonky, weird setup where I like went like full Shadow Clone investment. For example, there's like this, here there's like the Vehement Brawlers aspect, and there's another one, Epoch Fury or something like that, that buffs your ultimate skills. And there's also like Occult Gem for that can beef them up even further. So the Shadow Clone does seem to do some work, but I felt just kind of relying on my own damage was a little bit more just better, basically, because I know what I get, and the Shadow Clone would not necessarily always hit exactly the stuff that I wanted. And I don't really trust that all the damage multipliers actually work, so I haven't tested everything in particular. But it seemed okay to go full Shadow Clone investment, but I kind of wanted to rely on my own damage, and it seemed on a similar level at least. So this is like that, but I still have, for example, this thing here, because it still buffs my damage as well and gives me ultimate ranks, so we get extra cooldown reduction for the Shadow Clone, so this helps a little bit. So if you see, for example, I have currently 11 ranks, this with Shaco and this aspect, and it puts it to 10.2 seconds, so I can basically just like have perma Shadow Clone without really anything. And it's very easy because we have these new Shadow Clone cooldown tempers. Another thing to note is also Cold Imbue extra cast temper is now a utility and not a resource anymore, in case you're wondering. So I put this on the boots just to have like a bit more convenience. You don't necessarily need it, but this helped me a lot. But yeah, that's basically how the setup works. The rest is not really super different from, I guess, any other Dance of Knives build out there. This is why I also recommend go check out Mipi's guide, which does have a lot of similarities, especially with the snapshots variant. So this is like explained a lot better there than the little stuff that I could show now, but I hope that I got the idea across. Again, so TLDR, you need to play with the snapshots if you want to progress into Torment 4 and farm there. So as I said, I'm like 25 hours in, and I'm still using them. I can get away without them in like outdoor content, for example, at this point, but yeah, I kind of need some upgrades. I need something like an Air of Perdition or so, and then I get to the point where I can probably let go of these and play this version. And yeah, once I have good gear, this is totally fine and you destroy everything. But it doesn't go very high in the pit, so you don't expect that you're gonna go to like pit 100 or something. This build can do 100-ish, maybe a bit higher even, if you go all in with snapshots, and there's even like more try-hard push variants of this that are even stronger. Again, check out Maxwell guide for that. But it's not really such a push build, it's more of like an absolute speed farmer that just like leaves everything behind. And yeah, for the seasonal powers, maybe I should go through that real quick. So there is some stuff that I found that it works really well. So number one, I want to include Aura Specialization. This is one of the lost powers. You have to find that from the altars, go into 9 dimensions or the pit, and eventually you get it. This is a big crit buff, so as far as I know, this is more negative. So this is why we include an Aura. We have the Misfortune here, it gives the enemies a chance to miss. And you get movement speed and a slow Aura, which is kind of nice. And we also have 3 Psyche powers, which we combine with one of our gems here. So this is here in our ring. There you get like lots of lucky hit, and crowd control duration gives you lots of stagger, for example. We have the Fist of Fate there to stagger bosses, and this is a good combo. Then we have the Hex of Whispers. If you want to have any hex active on the enemies, this is because of this gem here, the Elder Sigil, 25% more good of extra damage buff for agility skills, which is Dance of Knives, and you need to have the hex active. So we run with that one. And we also have, for example, at least in the snapshot version, the Breath of the Coven for extra attack speed. This scales the damage of Dance of Knives, and you want to have different types of Eldritch power, witch powers here. So Eldritch, Psyche, and Growth and Decay. This is Growth and Decay, for example. This is Psyche. I think I only have 2 here, but it's still a nice buff here. I included that. In the other version, especially with like really late game gear, when you have a lot of attack speed anyway, then you probably don't really need this anymore to cap out, and then you can actually go for Soul Harvest. And Soul Harvest is very nice, it gives you lots of primary stat. So the idea here is that at the start of a run, you do like a large pull before you kill everything. Maybe it like take a few seconds, just pull like a large pack together or something, and then you can carry forward this like highest number of stacks that you've ever gotten in a run until the very end. And all you have to do is just kind of like face all your cooldowns a little bit. So this is much more easily done when you don't snapshot, of course, because you just press dash, you press shadow step, and so on all the time. So like this, we have a huge damage buff there. This is the only tweak I made between the two setups here. And here's Twilight Warding. I just found a barrier kind of nice. And then, yeah, Vengeful Spirit is kind of like absorbs some of the damage that you take and so on. And lastly, the last gem that we have here is just more defense. I mean, the setup is not really like squishy or something. Like you can probably make this much greedier if you want to, but it just helps to have more defense, and there was not really much else I wanted to put here. Yeah, another thing that people constantly ask me about is, what about the charges of Dance of Knives? So you see here right now, my charges slowly deplete, and then at some point they go up to 6 again, and I can kind of just keep channeling forever, and some people cannot. This is entirely based on your movement speed, and it's just kind of like moving a character in general. So if you dance into the wall like this, then you will not get charges. You have to move in any direction. It can be sharp turns, that's fine, but you need to have capped movement speed. You get a lot of movement speed from dance itself. This is 20 just by dancing. Then you have 25 from the Dark Shroud, that's 45. And then you have the options, for example, to go into Stutter Step, into Haste if you need to. So make sure you invest into those passives early on at least to have this extra movement speed, but later on you don't need that. If you have like any movement speed roll, or you have even like this temper here on the boots, this is another easy 25% just on temper. And then you also get some, for example, from these Eldritch Powers here, like the aura here gives me like 15 somewhere. And like this, you cap out pretty fast to plus 100% bonus is the maximum. So this is what you need to reach, and then you have perma spinning. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much most of the important stuff here. So I'm gonna leave it with that, and I might do like another like more in-depth guide or something. But other than that, hope this helps you. Stay tuned for more, and see you guys next time.